And the third and final game we're going to talk about, Newport Harbor wins their second in a row, 45-27 against the Huntington Beach Oilers on Friday night at Davidson Field. And Howard, that was a huge game for both teams. Coach Brett Brown from Huntington Beach, he told his team, we win this game, we're in the playoffs. The Sailors, they're telling themselves we have to win 2 out of our next 3, Fountain Valley, Huntington, and then CDM to get in the playoffs. They've done now 2 out of those 3 things. So a game with a lot of postseason and just season-wide implications.
Yeah, well, Harbor said they need to win 2 out of the next 3, but in reality, their goal is to win 3 in a row and punch their ticket as an automatic bid because they had to take care of business and beat Huntington Beach as they did. Now, next week, they got to beat CDM, and they're in the playoffs for sure. So there was a lot riding on this game. These were 2 teams that came in with senior quarterbacks, even though Harbor played a different quarterback than we anticipated, but 2 experienced teams that we thought were going to be fighting for the 3rd or 4th place position in Sunset League. So the game delivered, and for the Newport Harbor Sailors, it came out the way they wanted it to.
Well, it all got started by junior defensive back Johnny Chaix, who blocked 2 punts for the Sailors in the first quarter. One of those he picked up off the ground and scored a touchdown, and that was the spark. Sailors went up 14-0 to start the game, and that's what they needed to get going. What a performance by Sailors special teams led by Johnny Chaix.
Yeah, Johnny Chaix had the game of his life, blocked 2 punts, scored a touchdown, as you mentioned. That's enough sometimes for a whole season on special teams, let alone for one game and 1 quarter. So when you're already up 14-0 and your offense has barely touched the ball, it's a good feeling. It gives you confidence. You're kind of playing with house money at that point. So you can relax. You don't have to be so tense, even though this game means everything to you and to your season. So that was a blessing for the Newport Harbor Sailors to allow themselves to just play their game.
Yeah, and then also I want to talk about junior running back Peyton Irving. I know we were just talking about a great running back battle between Evan Sanders and Troy Fletcher, but Peyton Irving looks every bit the part of the Sunset League running back of the year. Crazy amount of yards on the ground, through the air, 2 rushing TDs, 1 receiving touchdown, and we talked to Sailors head coach Peter Lofthouse about his junior running back.
Peyton's a kid that we have really liked back even when he was a freshman. He showed a really good ability to run downhill, physical kid. And so last night was one of those he's a junior. It's that process that we've been talking about. And, the everything's kind of starting to line up for him. He's getting more familiar and comfortable with the reads and the run game and, protection wise and out of the pass game.
Well, Peyton Irving seemed like he was the entire offense at some points in the game for Newport Harbor. We knew, who do you think's getting the ball right here? It's going to Peyton Irving. Whether it's 1st and 10, 3rd and 3, it doesn't matter. He got everything he wanted. And we have to give credit to the offensive line, particularly those 3 interior linemen, the left guard, center, and right guard, because these guys cleared a hole for Peyton Irving. It seemed like he ran right up the A and B gaps and wasn't touched for 5 yards. And the way Peyton Irving runs, once you get a hand on him at 5 yards deep, he's already got a full head of steam, so he's going to pick up a couple more yards. It was just a dominant performance. So when you get started in the run game like that, it opens everything up for you. You got A.J. Gutron-Moore at quarterback feeling very comfortable. Threw for 3 passing touchdowns and threw an absolute strike to Josiah LaMarque in the 4th quarter. It was a one-on-one fade on the outside. He anticipated where Josiah was going to be, put it right in the breadbasket. Only the receiver could catch the ball, and that sealed the win for Newport Harbor. So credit to the offense all the way around, the specialists, the skill guys, and the O-line. This was the performance that we expected to see all season long from Newport Harbor, and they finally realized their potential offensively this week.
While we're talking about the great performance from the Sailors, on the flip side, such a frustrating game for Huntington Beach. Spotting the Sailors 14 points of special teams miscues in the first quarter, penalties throughout the game, really costly penalties throughout the game. So tough for Huntington Beach. We talked to head coach Brett Brown about the Oilers shooting themselves in the foot in this game and throughout the season.
I feel like we beat ourselves a lot this year. We're not good enough to do that. I mean, no knock on the teams that beat us, and Newport's a good football team. They played their butts off, and had some good things going, but we're playing against Huntington Beach every night too.
Well, it's a frustrating way to go out. You spot the team 14 points, and you still end up having a decent night if you're Huntington Beach. You look down at the stats, A.J. Perez had 250 yards passing, 3 or 4 touchdowns. He probably had close to 60 or 70 yards rushing as well, so he had a good game, but the self-inflicted errors, the miscues, penalties, things of that nature, Coach Brown tells us every week, we're not good enough to beat ourselves and the opponent. So you shoot yourself in the foot. It's hard to climb out of those holes.
Yeah, and there were, like you said, bright spots and big moments for the Huntington Beach offense. A.J. Perez, Coach Brown told us this was probably the best game of his season, and Hideo Ray in the second quarter had some incredible catches. In fact, here's a one-hander that Howard and I called for the Sailors broadcast on TAR TV.
1st and 10, A.J. Perez takes a snap. Time to throw. Test the rocket launcher deep. Hideo Ray!
That's a touchdown.
Oh, my goodness! One-handed for the score. One of the best grabs you'll see at any level. Touchdown, Oilers.
Well, that huge throw and catch came after Hideo Ray had a couple of drops, and I said it on the broadcast. That's how you know he's an excellent football player. He's got confidence in himself. His quarterback has confidence in him. Coach Brown has confidence in him because Hideo Ray is the go-to guy. Anytime the Oilers needed a play, they're looking to him. Short game, intermediate game, the deep ball, and he delivers. He had an excellent night, but the real issue was A.J. Perez was under so much pressure. He just couldn't get comfortable. He was constantly on the run. When he would drop back and try to sit in the pocket, he often had Connor Chenier, Jacob Carlone, these linebackers blitzing off the edge, or one of the defensive linemen sitting in his lap. So you got to give credit to this Newport Harbor defense for making it tough, even though the Oilers offense did find a way to get going at times. They just couldn't get anything consistent. And to make it even tougher on A.J. Perez, they were down 14 points, so they kind of had to throw the ball to try to come back. And then the Newport Harbor front seven made it impossible to run the ball, so the offense became one-dimensional.
And it doesn't get any easier for Huntington Beach. They take on Los Alamitos this week. Newport Harbor, they head into the Battle of the Bay on Friday with all the momentum in the world. That's going to be a real fun one.